When we think of UFOs, most of us immediately picture the classic flying saucer hovering in the night sky. But the accounts of so-called contactees, witnesses who claim to have had direct encounters, reveal something far more mysterious. Their final thoughts don't stop at UFOs being strange flying machines. Instead, they hint at another possibility. Could these phenomena be carrying a message beyond our imagination, or even be a way for someone to show us something deeper? Today, let's embark on this journey together as a community, to explore what UFOs truly might be, and why the experiences of these contactees continue to haunt and spark debate to this day. As I approach my 40s, I reflect now on my first experience with what they call UFOs or orbs on this realm. That was back when I was in my mid-20s. That experience would deeply change me for years to come and my whole understanding of this reality. Luckily for me, these visitors from beyond are reactive and non-invasive. I remember it vividly to this day. I was with a friend of mine that summer night. We saw two orbs dance in the sky and perform the most peculiar dance in the skies, one that defied the very rules of this reality, effectively moving faster than light. What was more interesting is that very same night, I would get my first taste of telepathic communication. I was asked whether I had seen enough on this realm. They asked me if I remembered yet. They invited me to join them again. Back then, I was still young and an all-out logical person. I was always fascinated by the possibility of life beyond this realm, yet I had in my mind the official narrative of this realm of aliens and spaceships. Only years later, when I wanted to link up again, did they appear in my life again. Curiously, in this realm, we are meant to fear abductions, I can honestly say. It was an invitation. The moment they smelled the fear in me, they let me be. And so I carried on with my life within this realm. I know how people these days, myself included, are used to short-span attentions, so I won't make this longer than it should. Years later, I reconnected with them back again. We managed to establish seamless telepathic communication only when I felt keen. They were immensely patient with me and only took it as far as I wished. Fast forward to today, I am what they call a contactee, a first experiencer of a third kind, or whatever label you may have. Labels, something I have grown to be wary of. In any case, cutting to the case and getting to the point, my takeaway from all of these contact sessions and experiences are as follows. UFOs/orbs are signals, much like a lighthouse, signaling that there is an existence beyond. By performing the most larger-than-life maneuvers, they seem to wish for us to understand the limitations of this reality, and most importantly, that there is something beyond. Kind of like saying, you think that everything abides by the limitations of your dimension. Check this out then. It would seem they wish to awaken us mid-dream, and much like a dream, we are supposed to pay attention to the inconsistencies within this reality. Synchronicities, Mandela effects, déjà vus, inconsistencies in history, the blatant inversion of truth within this reality, the orbs themselves dancing in the skies defying the rules of this reality. Evidently, one could argue they have no desire to come down and join us, but rather the opposite, for us to rejoin them if we so wished. It would seem they have very little to do with aliens. I suspect they are much more related to us than we would think. Indeed, it would appear our consciousness appear from where they once appeared. These are my main takeaways after my first-hand experience with them, and so the following questions linger in my head. What if they have very little to do with aliens and are related to us? What if this world is nothing but of illusory nature and they wish to reawaken us mid-dream? What if the identities and avatars we cosplay as deceive us and get in the way of recognizing our eternal, non-linear and non-local natural essence? What if what we are meant to think as an abduction is nothing but an exercise of our free will to transcend this existence and rejoin them? What if we can invoke the invitation and has nothing to do with being special, chosen, or none of that, merely being aligned? I keep on wondering, and I tell you this much. Having seen what I have now seen in this realm, second time around the invitation comes, whether from their side or my imitative. I will be taking up my chances next time around. In the end, what I've learned from these encounters is not so much about them, but about us. The orbs, the lights, the telepathic whispers. They may not be visitors from faraway galaxies, but reminders that reality is not as rigid as we've been taught to believe. They are signposts, urging us to look closer at the cracks in our world, to question what we accept as truth, and to remember that consciousness itself may be the true frontier. So when people ask me, were they real? My answer is simple. As real as the breath you take, as the dream you wake from, as the mystery that refuses to let you go. The question isn't whether they exist. The question is whether we are ready to see beyond the veil. And if the invitation comes again, I know this time I won't hesitate.